All right. Who is in the class today? Yeah, thanks everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the fourth session of theory class of the name of the class is Evasions. Yeah, so we're gonna read the text. So remember, the class is a tool to participate so we can see if the understanding we have from what we're reading, how can we see it in our daily lives. So I invite you to participate, ask questions. It doesn't matter. The important thing is you have to participate so you can take advantage of these classes. So we're gonna start the reading. Thank you for being here. Please.
Evasions. Definition of evasions of analysis of metaprograms. In using the term evasion, it is meant to imply a similar concept to defensive maneuvers or defenses of the psychoanalytic literature. However, in addition to the content of these concepts, evasion is defined as any program or metaprogram entered upon to avoid, to hide, or to distort a deeper program or metaprogram which is too seductive or too threatening or too chaotic for the self-programmer at that particular time.
Okay, how's everybody doing tonight? Pretty good, I take it, huh? Well, good. Look, this idea of evasions is probably the damnedest idea that you've run into for a while, because it's something we all do, but none of us will admit to it. We can't. We just simply cannot say that that's what we're doing, because by the time that we're doing it, we're doing something else. Okay, so for instance, if I say, "Hey, are you being arrogant, or are you being bitchy over this thing?" For instance, what are you going to say right away? Why, no, I don't do that. Well, what is that? Why are you asking me? That would be an evasion. Not the question, but the. See, that's the metaprogram that's used to keep you from going into that deeper place to see what's there. When is the last time you made that sound? Really, when's the last time you made that sound, Vince? This morning. No. How old were you when you started making that sound? Let's put it that way. Probably one or two, yeah. Pretty young on, right? Yeah. So, and you know what? It stays with us for years, right? And we never see it because we didn't see it when we were one or two. Hell, we're not going to see it now. We have all this time invested in it. Why are we going to see it now? What for? You know, I didn't want to look at it then. I still don't want to fucking look at it. Leave me alone. Okay. That's what an evasion is. And it's one of those things that we use to make sure it tells us anything about anything because we don't want to learn anything about that. We don't want to look at that. We don't want to hear about it. We don't want to know about stuff. All we want is just. Okay. There are people doing strange things here to this microphone in front of my face, and it scares me. Okay, look, I'm not evading you. So look, the thing is that it's anything at all that we do, whether it's a metaprogram, a belief, a tick, no matter what it is, okay? If we do that thing to keep from looking at deeper inside of us, it's an evasion. I think this week we've seen a couple of those here, 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 even at times. At a time, I mean.
It can be layers.
Yeah. But look, here's the thing. I don't want anybody to get guilty about it. Because if you're evading something, you got to think about what Lily's actually saying. That at this particular moment, that thing is too chaotic. That thing is too seductive. That thing's too damn complicated. Whatever. There's a reason why you're evading it. And so rather than get guilty, it'd be better to find out why. In other words, rather than using that reason for justifying it, find out why it's there, so that you can go back to it and adjust it at a time when you're not in that state. Okay, it's important to understand that part, because if I know that I evade things when I'm nervous, then I don't want to try to fix my evasion ideas when I'm nervous, do I? No, because I'm going to evade. Somebody's yelling at me about something. I don't want to try to fix my evasion programs. I probably want to evade. Okay, because that yelling is too intense, or it's too, hey, out. So he's the only person in town I can control that way. That's it. That's my entire control mechanism. That's all of it. There's nothing else. Okay, so look, guys, that's what we have to be able to do, is we have to understand that, first of all, the evasion is there for a reason. It's to protect us from something. But that doesn't mean that that thing is protecting us from as an actual threat. It means that we have to examine to see if it's a threat or not. Probably it isn't. Okay? All right, Elise, go ahead.
In the beginning, in a profound isolation situation, many people experience a fear which is an almost disembodied fear with no reference in the external reality. With experience, this fear can be shown to be a fear of one's own inner unknowns. After a thorough exploration of the various evasive metaprograms, it can be shown that the only thing to fear in this area is fear itself, in overwhelming amounts. With sufficient training, it can be shown that one can convert the motivational sign of the experienced emotion from negative to positive, as to whether or not one must go through some of the negative emoting in order to experience enough of the punishing aspects to avoid them is a moot point. A great deal of self-discipline is required in this instance to pursue the negatively tinged programs and metaprograms stored in the memory. At times, one can detect an almost hedonistic withdrawal from further consideration of unpleasant events and memories.
Oh my. A disembodied fear. A disembodied fear. I pushed it. What's causing that? Disembodied without a body. Yeah. Okay. No body. Nothing to push it on. Nothing to say this is the fear. It's just there. Okay. No particular reason. And what happens, what Lily's trying to point out to us here is he's saying, look, you know, this fear of not knowing has to come with most babies. As a baby, what do you know about? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You don't know how to feed yourself. You don't know how to clean yourself. You don't know how to roll over. You don't know how to, if you roll over, you don't know how to get back. You know, everything in life is a struggle as a baby, isn't it? I mean, think about it. You can't find your, your head or nothing. I mean, you're making motions and you're smacking yourself. You don't know any of those things that's going on, right? Do you understand what I mean? So there's this fear that exists way down inside of us about not knowing. Okay, not a bad thing. It's just that it exists. Okay, but the thing is you can't say that I have to be afraid of fear. Fear is hardwired into the body so that we pay attention to things, right? In other words, when a rattlesnake goes right there beside your foot, you really want to be afraid of that. You want your body to say, fuck, I'm about to get bit, and jump over there to a rock someplace about 20 feet away, okay? Without it just, just like go from here to there. Don't pass go, don't collect dollars, don't kick the rattlesnake, just go over there out of his reach, okay? That's what you really want to do, right? You want that fear to carry you over there, kaboom. Because that's what's fear, that's why you have fear. But fear is not something that you want to carry around in your back pocket and say, oh, I'm afraid of this. Where can I spend some fear? Oh, look, how about that? I'm afraid of that thing over there. Okay, I'm afraid. Because that's really going back to that I'm afraid of myself thing. Okay, I'm not afraid of that thing over there, that thing over there. I carry fear. And so it's not that thing or this thing or whatever. That fear is inside of me. And it's because I don't understand that. I don't know how that thing is. I don't know how to work that thing. I don't know how to interact with that thing. Am I big enough? Do I have mommy and daddy's permission? Who's going to say it's, what if I fuck it up? Will I be in trouble? Come on, guys, be honest with me here. All of you go through those fears. Okay, it's not a bad thing. You're not a terrible person because you do it. The only thing is you haven't seen that. You didn't see how that happened to you. You didn't see where it happened to you, right? You just didn't see it. Doesn't mean that you're good or bad. It just means that that's what you are. Fair enough? Oh, that's it. Okay, that's all it means. Okay, that's the whole thing, is that you couldn't see that when you were little, but now you can see that fear of not knowing yourself isn't really a real thing. It's just a fear of fear. Okay, and you don't want to live there. So that's one thing he's starting to talk to you about. He said, okay, look, the fear comes from way down deep inside of us all the time. Okay, and it's like we can pump that fear up, or we can make it go away. So we don't want to have fear in overwhelming amounts, right? We don't, because it can overwhelm us. It can just eat us up. So we don't want to have that. We want to stay out of that kind of a situation. Now here's the thing. This fear thing. If you paint it with blues and blacks, it's going to look scary. But if you paint it with yellows and greens and oranges and so forth, it isn't going to look scary. And you can paint it any color you want to. There's no law that says you can't paint it. That just isn't the case. So rather than saying, oh, I'm afraid of that thing, how about looking at it like this and say, okay, yeah, I have fear at this level, at this limiting parameter. And so what I want to do is I want to reduce my fear as a limiting parameter, and I want to expand my ability to understand as a limiting parameter. I want to take away the fear and replace it with understanding. I mean, just as one of probably a gajillion examples, okay? But there would be an example. If I understand something, it's pretty hard for me to be afraid of it, isn't it? Right? I mean, if I understand the thing, even though it's a scary thing, I can be around it all the time. I mean, it's like, if you know how to swim, water's not scary. Okay? I mean, if you're out in the middle of the ocean and you fall off the boat, then water gets pretty damn scary pretty damn quick, okay? But it's not anything in particular that's going to eat you up. If you're just here by the beach and you got out in water a little bit, you can swim back, okay? You can't swim over to Bucerias, but you can swim back to here, to where you got in the water. You can do that, okay? So water itself isn't a scary thing. although water itself is a dangerous thing, and one should have a respect for that, for the danger of the water, right? But it's not necessarily be a fear. It's an understanding that you want to have, not a fear of understanding. You want to know what your limits are. You want to know what you can do with water, what you can't do. Like for me, I can drink it, and sometimes I can bathe in it. After that, it's a so thing. Okay, you know, I can look at it. I'm good at that. I can look at it if I want to. You can't tell me I can't, Mr. Vincente. Okay. So anyway, that's. I got to go back here and check where I am on this. Okay.
I'm sharing the.
Yeah, hold on. I got it coming up here. Okay. This is an important point for a number of you guys, both on the Zoom call and here. Are you guys aware of how much you punish yourselves? You know what your rules are? Your rules are punishments. I shan't do that thing. I shall punish myself before I ever accomplish that thing, and I shall be a holy person. Okay. You want a little flagellation whip so you can kind of beat on yourself and be free, like you're the monk in the Da Vinci Code. What is this? I mean, how many times do you do something and you know that it's a dumb thing and you go ahead and you do it anyway, and then come back and say, why do I do that dumb thing? Well, because you did a dumb thing. But why did I do it? So you can punish yourself. Oh, I don't punish myself. Why do you say that? Because you're punishing yourself? Oh, stop it. It hurts. See what I mean? You hurt me when you say that about me. Oh, did I hurt your feelings? Oh, did you need to be punished? So that wording hurt your feelings, huh? And how did that happen? It was cruel and mean, and it made me feel bad. Yes, it was cruel and it was mean. Are you running away from anything? No, motherfucker, why did you say that? I'm not running away at all. How dare you talk to me that way? I'm sorry? Bastard. Of course. Thank you very much. You've never heard that, have you? No, okay. Me neither. Maybe a couple of times, but not often, okay? Okay, guys, look, this happens to you, okay? It happens to me, it happens to all of us, okay? So what? I don't mind that it happens. What I mind about is that you get lost in it. You see what I'm saying? You know, because you don't want to get lost in it. You want to be able to deal with this somehow or the other. Pásale, está bien. Could you tell Marissa that they're here, that they're up? Or okay. So then look. Here's what, let me explain this to you from this perspective. One of the things I keep trying to tell people over and over and over, just to get them as a point of reference for them, is the hardest job I have, anytime at all, is to convince people of what their value is. No, it is. It's damn near impossible, because they're going to say, no, I'm really not worth that. Well, why aren't you worth that? I don't know. Is it because you're just miserable, or is that it? Just because you want to feel it? No. Then why? I don't know. I think it goes back to that nasty girl in junior high school who insulted my ass. No, it doesn't. You didn't bring that fear from junior high school. You brought that fear from kindergarten and before. You brought that fear from when your baby sister was born or your baby brother was born. That's when that fear came from. Okay, that way back then. That's where the anger came from. So it doesn't make any difference. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're guilty of sinning against God Himself or anything like that. That means that you were young and dumb once upon a time. So what? Okay, we were all kids. Well, I wasn't so much, but you guys were all kids at least. I'm so old that I wasn't. I wasn't even a kid then. That was back before there were kids. Okay, it's true. When I was a kid, they told me that I could be a kid when I was an old guy. So I'm returning to my childhood. All right, so you got to think about it this way. Are you that much of a hedonist? Of a hedonist? Yeah. Somebody who thinks only of them goddamn selves. Just me. I have a problem. I need a solution. I'm afraid. I'm angry. I'm really important. My feelings are hurted. You don't love me. No, you guys don't. No, nobody's ever. You've never done that, right? Maria, you've never done that, have you? Pammy, you've never done that. I know you've never done that. Tell me the truth, Pam. You've never done that.
Not me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying to you there, kid. Okay, look, this is something that we all do. Okay, because it's kind of hardwired into us when we're a little kid. What do you want? What do you want? What do you need? Because everybody's trying to figure out what the baby wants, so the baby stops screaming, right? I mean, when they're little, it's pretty easy. They've got a wet diaper or a dirty diaper, or they're hungry. That's just about it. That's the entire lexicon right there. Change my diaper, front or back, and feed me, and leave me alone. Let me sleep. That's babies. Okay, that's we are. But what happens though for us is that we start remembering things that are bad. Okay, what we decide is we say, oh, mom came late and so she doesn't love me, or we say my brother hates me because he punches me all the time, or you say, or the brother says my sister doesn't like me because she runs away with her friends and she doesn't want to talk to me. She won't take me with her when she goes someplace. All those things, right? Okay, and so we start saying we have bad memories because of how we are. We start blaming people around us for our memories, right? Well, it's true that we remember that memory with them, but we don't remember why it caused the memory, us, because we're evading that. We're evading that, see? Really, that's what happens. You with? So, I mean, it's not a bad thing. Everybody fucking does it, guys. Everybody does that. Okay, but you got to stop sometime and say, okay, you know what? I'm doing that. Because if you have a little bit of discipline, you can change the motivational sign on those bad memories and those bad ideas and those things you evade, from things that you evade to things that you run toward. It's a difference. Okay. Rather than evading those things, why don't you solve them? Why don't you find a solution for them? That works way better. Okay. Rather than fixing the blame, let's fix the problem. Do you understand that one in English? Okay. Rather than fixing the blame, let's fix the problem. Fixing the problem is way easier, right? Fixing the blame is just, oh man, it's painting with blues and blacks. It's ugly. And you know, that smudge tool and all that, it ends up just being a mess. Really, it's depressing. Even thinking about that color, depressing. Let me think about oranges and reds and greens again. Now I'm back. Okay, so what else we got there, Elise?
These evasions into pleasure are also evasions of further self-analysis.
You guys have good clothes? Tocaste bien? Relajaste? No.
As, as one clears up more and more areas of unpleasant programs and metaprograms, the increasing amounts of pleasurable programming and metaprogramming and their control can become a very seductive evasion of one's ideal of self-analysis.
Last night I was listening in on a reunion call for the people who came to the class in, I don't know, December. Okay. And I was listening to the differences that people were talking about that they'd experienced. And a couple of people were saying that how it was that their differences were that they were worse off than before things were bad, things for this, things for that, things for the other. But they weren't really thinking about the changes that had been made. Okay, because what happens is that when you make a change within yourself, when you realize that something's been changed and you say, oh, well, wait a minute, I don't know if will mommy or daddy approve? Could I have permission to, will I get in trouble? You do all those things as evasions. What happens then is that thing kind of sours. Okay. And what Lilly talks about here is he says, what we do is we get in this place where we're so happy that we're fixing things that we want that high again. Rather than saying, okay, I'm done with that fix. We go back to fix it again. And again, and again, and again, and again. And again, 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 and again. It goes on forever. This is worse than 99 bottles on the wall. It just doesn't end. Okay? Because it's such fun to fix your problems of programming, isn't it? Wow. Every time you fix it, you say, oh, I'm such a wonderful person. I fix my programming. Oh, let me pat myself on oh, that hurts so bad. Oh, stop, please. Oh, it's more. That's what we do. Okay, we do that. Come on, you know better than that. You do it. We all do it. We say, aren't I wonderful? Yeah, you're wonderful. That's what I've been trying to tell you from the beginning. You're wonderful. So why don't you act wonderful? I'm not acting wonderful. I need to work on that. Oh my God. Yes, you do. See, I told you I needed to work on that. Yes, you did. You told me that. You're absolutely right. Work on it, please. Because you're driving me fucking nuts. I go work on it. Hurry, shoot. Go fix your programming again. And again, 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 and again. 99 bottles of beer on the wall. It goes on and on and on. It never ends, okay? It's one of those wonderful, wonderful things that we do to ourselves. It's a punishment. It doesn't look like a punishment. We tell ourselves it feels really good, but we're punishing the hell out of ourselves because what if I'm not perfect? Trust me, you ain't. You got warts, you got pimples, you got a hooked nose. Who gives a shit? You can program yourself until hell freezes over. None of that shit's going to change, dudes and dudettes. Really, you're getting older. You ought to take advantage of that instead of bitching about it. Why try to fix that? Why not take advantage of it? So it's. I mean, I don't mind anybody looking as pretty as they can. I'm all in for that. Well, you can tell what a fashion mogul I am, huh? They match, kind of. They don't gay match, but they match. Okay, look, here's the thing I'm trying to get you guys to look at is this, is that, look, why punish yourselves with pleasure? I mean, what for? Oh, it feels so good when I solve my programming problems. What programming problems? The ones I'm making up right now? Why? Because I feel better when I solve them.
I didn't have enough the first time.
Speak up. Guess who the poster child for that one is?
That's how I can make fun of it, because I know.
If anybody knows, It's Elise, okay? It's because she has spent years at that endeavor and has been highly successful at patting herself on the back. She has bruises. Here, why don't you read the next thing you hear?
Is it this? Yeah, yes.
It is at this point.
These invasions into pleasure are also evasions of further self-analysis. As one clears up more and more areas of unpleasant programs and metaprogramming, yeah, that's what I thought. It is at this point that too frequent exposure to these conditions must be avoided. Long periods of interlock with external reality must then be done. Sometimes this may necessitate months of outside work to integrate one's findings with the real world as one has chosen to live in it.
People often ask me, they say, how often should I come float? Damn, I don't know. There's no way for me to tell you. And the reason is that I don't know how much self-analysis you do when you float. Self-analysis. Okay? Because it's something that we do, right? When we get in the tank, we remember things. We say, oh, that wasn't that way. Or we think about things. We say, maybe if I do it this way. But we're figuring out things, okay? We're solving things. And within those solutions, one of the things that's true is that we can overload what we're thinking about, okay? Because we get too much of a positive feedback from this I'm fixing my programs thing, or something, or it's cousins, or in the family kind of idea, okay? And so what we're trying to accomplish with that, what we want to do with that kind of thing is we want to say, all right, look, you got to get out of here for a while and go do something else and come back. Okay. And so sometimes what happens when people float, they float for a day or so and they float 3 or 4 or 5 times in a month or 2 months or whatever. And they analyze themselves too much. And so then they don't float the next month because they don't have brain space. So they say, oh, I'm not going to use floating. Well, they are, but they need to be away for a month. And then they can float again. Okay. Or they can come back by and say, okay, when I was floating, I did this thing and that thing and the other thing. But the problem is they evade it because why? It's too seductive. It's too chaotic. It's too, pick one of those things that he's talking about at the beginning, right? Because those things keep us from being able to talk about ideas. So you have to stop yourself and say, okay, why am I evading things? Is it because it really is too chaotic? Or is it because, I got a shot and my brain fog is so much that I just can't frickin' talk to you today? See, if that's the way it is, I need to realize that. I can't evade that. However, I can't evade what you're asking either. Okay. So I have to say, okay, look, I can't talk to you about that today. It's not a matter I don't want to talk to you about it. Instead, if I talk to you about it today, I'm going to be too brusque because I don't have the space to actually buffer all the things I need to say to you. I'm going to say it all kaboom, 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 like that. Okay. And so you're not ready. You can't take it that fast. Okay. You're not ready for that still. You with? Okay. So to you, it feels like jolts because it is. Okay, so I don't want to go there. Okay, I want to slow it down so that I'm not knocking you through the window. Through the door is okay, but through the window, no. Okay, right. Just reference point. Okay, it's a professional courtesy. Okay, open the door first. It's easier. Just saying. Okay, so look. What we want to start doing is we want to start finding ways to strap around the evasion, so that we can leave the evasion there. Okay, it's a protection. We know that, We're not mad at ourselves because we did it. We're not guilty because we did it. We're not fearful. Oh my God, am I falling apart? We don't not do any of that stuff, right? What we're doing is we say, okay, the evasion's there. Let me see if I can get over here and look at it from over here and see what it looks like. Okay, that's what we want to do with it. Sometimes the best way to do that is go to the bar and get drunk as hell and tell everybody that's at the bar what your problems are. Not recommended, but it's a way, okay? Another way is to sit down after you float and say, okay, hey, John, look, motherfucker, you're gonna have to listen to me here for a little bit. That's another way, okay? It's even better to say, hey, Elise, come here. let her tell you, let her listen to you. It's even better that way. Or Luca, wow, let Luca listen to it. It's even better if you let Luca, because Luca can listen to a lot of people to slow his ass down a little bit. You know that, right? Okay, so not a big good thing or a bad thing. It's just who's going to benefit the most. That's what you want to do, right? Okay. Let's see. There are times when you actually have to go do something else. I mean, after I opened the tank offices first time, it took me a couple of years of having to go do something else. I couldn't think about tanks or tank thoughts or nothing else for like 5 years. I just couldn't. I just talked to too many people, spent too much time floating myself, all kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, and my brain hadn't caught up. So finally, my brain said, "Hey, John, sit down." I said, "Why? I'm busy." I didn't sit down. If you don't stop, I'm gonna make you kind of catatonic. Oh, okay. Catatonic. I was close, okay. Right, that happens. It happens to all of us, you see. That's why you have to stay active. That's why you have to exchange things. You have to talk about what's bothering you and so forth. Because the evasion is what brings that about. I know because I evaded it. I just didn't want to look at the changes that had taken place in me. I couldn't. They were too chaotic. They were too seductive. They were too I wasn't old enough. A bunch of stuff. Okay, no reason for me to be pissy about it or angry about it or feel guilty about it. It happened. Oh, okay. It didn't stay that way. I mean, I finally got my head back. Well, it wasn't. I hadn't lost it or anything. It was too full of stuff. It wasn't useful. And when I got the things stored and put away, and the floors mopped and the dust dusted off the walls and stuff, it didn't look bad at all. New coat of paint and everything. It was nice. Hung some pictures up in there. Got some new books in the bookshelves. Got new furniture. Nice carpet. It was much more comfortable, rather than just pure chaos. Okay, but to fix chaos takes all day. Did you notice that, Vince? Okay. See, if you start the morning off in chaos, it takes until I don't know, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night to calm the chaos down. Yeah. So we don't want to start the day with chaos. We don't even want to end the day with chaos. In fact, we don't want chaos around at all. You with? Okay, that's good. Okay, at least see, I don't want to choose to live in chaos. Okay, I want to live in Puerto Vallarta, not in chaos. I'm sorry? Okay, well, whatever melts your butter, but chaos is not much fun as it's cracked up to be. Been there and done that. Okay, I have tickets. If you need a pair of tickets, I got some. Okay, so don't worry.
The easily evoked pleasure of the LSD-25 state may become for some persons a major goal. To make sure that one does not get seduced by this induced state of pleasure, it's wise to avoid further experiments for several weeks or several months and reassert the natural access to pleasure in one's external reality. The external reality struggle to obtain pleasure from the environment has rules of its own, which must be met realistically and with intelligence and balance. Here it is obvious that discipline in the self-metaprogrammer is absolutely essential. Further progress in self-analysis cannot be made without self-discipline.
Okay. There's a couple of 3 things here that we can cover to cover this issue, but let me pick out one or 2 of them just for funs and games, okay? Let's start with what he's talking about here. He's saying LSD here, but ayahuasca, alcohol, whatever. Okay, take your pick about your favorite, about what your favorite metaprogramming altering substance happens to be. Okay, whether it's a hallucinogenic substance or metaprogramming attenuating substance, doesn't make any difference what it is. What's going to happen is there's a pleasure for you in that. Period. There's a pleasure for you. A pleasure can be used as an evasion. A pleasure can be used as a way of thinking about things. It can be lots of things. But you got to think about what it is that you're doing with it. Because it's really easy for you to say, oh, I had a client, you know this client named George, I think. He's gone down to Ecuador a couple of times, or Colombia, wherever he goes to, and he's taken some serious ayahuasca. And he's been down there for a week at a time and come back just as, oh, the ayahuasca did this. No, dude, the ayahuasca didn't do a damn thing. The ayahuasca stopped your world, and then you did. That's what happened, really. The ayahuasca had an effect with you. It had a gesture with you, but then you did from there on, and you made up and you interpreted. You said that this is what it is, but it was a pleasurable thing for you. That's the reason why you went back and did it again. That's the reason why you want to go back and do it again, because it's pleasurable for you. Okay, nothing good or bad about it, but if you use that as an evasion, oh, I'm going to go to Colombia. I'm going to take ayahuasca to work on finding myself. Oh, you're going to find yourself. I find it easier than that. I don't have to go all the way to Colombia. Where do you have to go? Just below my waistline, actually, and I'm good. It's true. Pam, you can get up off the floor now. Okay, I know you're rolling on the floor laughing at what I just said, so you can stop right now. Enough. I feel you over there doing that shit. See, I told you. Okay, look, we all have to struggle with the external reality to find pleasure. And you know, this is the thing. We want to be with somebody to find that pleasure. Okay, because we're all pretty sure that that's how we find the most pleasure, because we're with somebody and we do that thing with them. Okay. But as soon as we do that, we say, I don't know if I can trust you to do this again or not. We don't ever say do this again or not part, though. We just say, I don't know if I can trust you. And we just cut it off right there, don't we? Is that an evasion? You don't want to commit to a relationship, you say. Oh, well, can we be friends with privileges? Oh, you can't allow that because you're Catholic, girl. Okay. Sure you are. Understand me, please. Everybody is looking for that. Everybody. I think Pitbull said it best. Everybody fucks. Oh, he's pretty blunt about things. Okay, but you know, credit where credit's due. Okay. Here's the point I'm trying to make with this. Everybody's looking for that, and we're all bitching about it. We are. We'll bitch about. Do you know what my husband, wife, you can fill in the blank, said? What they actually said? Did they not realize how I am, and who I am, and what I do? They didn't realize what I did for them. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? We do that. And we make a big deal out of nothing because we're too chicken shit to note that we're trying to evade the responsibility of the relationship. The responsibility to communicate information and stay in agreement. We do anything except that. We're looking for a reason to fight rather than a reason to get along or to agree. A reason to fight rather than a reason to agree can only be defined as an evasion. The reason not to say what's on your mind, as opposed to keeping quiet, is an evasion. Are you punishing yourself by keeping quiet? I don't want to cause any trouble. I'll just keep quiet. I'll suffer by myself over here silently. I didn't say anything. No, nothing. Come on, you guys don't do that stuff, right? Well, I'm going to be disappointed if you tell me that you do it. You don't, guys don't really do that, do you? No, okay. I'm so relieved that you guys don't do that stuff, okay? Because if you did that, you'd probably feel guilty about it, right? Yeah, well, I wouldn't want you to feel guilty, okay? So I'm glad you're not doing it, because that way you'd feel, if you did, you would be feeling guilty, and that bad form. This evasion idea is important, don't you think? Yeah. But it shows up in funny places, don't you think so? Yeah. I mean, really, think about this. How much of go down to the Mercado in the morning and listen to all the ladies come in and talk about what went on with their old man the night before, okay? You know, to the comadre, of course, okay? No, nobody else, because just to the comadre, because the comadre understands, right? Everything else would be with chismes. To the comadre, it's not chismes. When the comadre tells her comadre, it's not chismes either. And when her comadre's comadre tells her comadre, it's not chismes either. And so everybody in the Mercado has a comadre to everybody else in the Mercado. So telling my comadre in the Mercado is to tell the whole Mercado. Come on, see. Right? Okay, so here's the thing we're trying to get to here, though. Look. Those stories that we tell, are they evading something? Are they evading what we actually are? Yeah. Okay, for instance, okay, this is a for instance here. I'm gonna use you for a moment because I have a memory of where I can use this, okay? when Russo was here, you talked about Russo, he said, Russo said this thing, Russo did this thing. We went to this place and Russo did this thing, okay? Those were evasions. They were the reason why you weren't going to have a relationship with Russo. It could have been, it was easier, well, a lot easier to say, you know, Russell, I'm sorry, dude. I'm not into you. I thought I was, but I'm not. You know, I don't want to date. I don't want to play around with it, but really, dude, you got some bad habits I'm just not going to put up with. So check. Well, it's been easier to do it up front, right? Because what you were doing was you were evading getting to that point all this time, right? Okay. And so he calls you back and says, I got flowers and chocolates. You're still going to evade again. Okay, good. I got it. Yeah, that makes sense. What's his name? Yeah, that guy. Okay, what else we got over there?
With this caution, let us return to the profound isolation situation. In the zero-level external reality situation, the use of any external reality screen can be defined as a defensive maneuver to avoid visualizing or experiencing what one fears most in the deeper levels of one's computer, namely in the unconscious. The uses of the screens are necessary and useful steps on the way in, and are useful steps to return to for confirmation at later times of the findings. And an apparently paradoxical situation thus exists in the profound physical isolation situation. One is pursuing self-analysis and accesses to the keys to pleasure within oneself and the keys to lessening the pain and fear in oneself.
What a tortured set of homework this is. All right, let's take it apart one piece at a time. Let's redefine this idea of external reality, screen, okay? The external reality screen. What's an external reality screen? Anybody have a guess on this one? Yeah. In your case, Russell. Okay, see, you don't know, you can't see Russell. You see your external reality screen of Russell, right? Okay. I can't see Lorena. I can see my external reality screen of Lorena. Okay. I'm afraid that I actually can see Elise, but that's another story altogether. Okay, look. We use people as external reality screens, okay? And so we use it as an evasion too. I kind of covered this a little while ago, right? I was telling you guys about, you make me mad, Vincent. You didn't come on time this morning, so I'm mad and you hurt my feelings, right? Now, I'm feeling sorry for me because Vincent didn't do what I thought he should do. And so I'm blaming him for my feelings. And so I'm using the external reality screen of Vincent to project my feelings into the external reality. Well, that's not fair to Vincent or to me. That's a bold-faced lie is what it is, because it's not Vincent's problem. It's my problem. It's not his. But I blame him for it, right? We all do that, right? Daddy was mean to me. He spanked my ass when I was 7. What were you doing? I can't remember, but it was wrong. I must have deserved it, but he was mean. You know damn well why he paddled your ass, and he paddled it because you damn well did deserve it, right? Oh yeah. Well, why are you mad at him? Because he paddled me. Well, what did you want him to do? He told you 25 times before, didn't he? No, it was more like 173. But yeah, he told me before. Well, how much patience do you want the man to have? Well, more than that. Well, he's a man after all. He's going to paddle your ass after all because he's just going to run out of time and patience. Oh, well, you didn't have to be so mean about it. Well, hold on to that argument forever. Why don't you do that? That's a nice evasion. Why don't you project that on your daddy for the rest of your life? Ooh. Well, John, when you put it that way, I don't even like you anymore. Yeah, I know. I become an external reality screen, don't I? I do that really quickly. Boom, I can be there. It's a trick I have. It's a magic trick, actually. Not as good as that guy that can pull doves out of air and something, but it's a good trick. Okay, look, let's go back and take it apart a little bit further. Using that external reality screen of saying it's somebody else's fault, that's an evasion. That's an evasion, so I don't look at what I'm doing. When I say it's somebody else's fault I'm doing this, nah, no it isn't. I'm doing it because I decided. I'm doing it. They're not making me do it. They don't have to get over. They didn't come over and say, John, I'm gonna make you mad. Now you have to be mad now, right? No, I will shoot. No, I'm not gonna. I'll shoot. Click. Okay, I'll shoot. Don't shoot anymore. I'll be mad. Thank you. That doesn't happen, guys. It just doesn't freaking happen. You know, all we need is an excuse, and we're mad, right? Kaboom. We're mad immediately. Everybody with? Okay, so here's the thing. When we're little, we got to use those screens, right? We got to say, Mommy said. We got to say, Daddy said. We got to say, Big Sister said. We got to say, Teacher said. We got to say, Coach said. We got to say, my kindergartner said. The kids at school told me. Those are external reality screens. Everybody with? Okay, we have to use them. Now we have to go into them. We have to use them to get into this place where we can say, "Oh, wait a minute, you know that screen. That's not really that. It was mine." To come back out, then we have to say, "Okay, you know what? I'm blaming you for this thing, but it's not really up to you. It's not you, really. It's me. So let me get over this and see what you're saying." See, that's coming back up out of it, right? That's reversing the trend of saying it's your fault and saying, okay, let me understand what you're really saying to me, so we can communicate information. Really, that's what it's about. So that's the other side of it. So when you're floating, this is the paradox that you run into. You're trying to find places where you're going to be happier, okay? Where you feel less tense, where you're going to feel less stressed, where you're going to feel less guilty, where you're going to feel less bad about yourself in some way or the other. But at the same time, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make yourself feel much better. You're trying to experience fear, a pleasure, and you're trying to reduce the pain. What if the pleasure and the pain both are solely there because of your projections to external reality? What if that pain and pleasure thing that you're feeling doesn't really depend on that external reality at all? What if there's a place where you are already happy? What if there's a place that you are already unconfused? What if there's a place already that your whole brain works all of the time in all of its parts, like the assumptions said? What if that's true? What if you actually know what you're trying to evade, instead of trying to pretend as though you don't know, that you actually deal with it as though you do know? What if you did that? I'm not saying you have to or anything, but what if you did? It's a thought, after all. I mean, it doesn't cost anything at all. You can think anything you want to. You can imagine anything. It doesn't cost. You can do that. So thinking a different thought, or changing a negative to a positive, doesn't cost anything at all. There's no effort involved. There's only discipline. There's only saying, yes, I demand that I see things that way. In other words, we could say it this way. There's only believing deliberately. That's all you've got. I'm going to deliberately believe that this is how I see things. I'm going to deliberately believe that I see good things in people as opposed to negative things in people. I'm going to deliberately believe that people around me are doing the very best that they can, and I should be amazed at what all they're doing. I can take that attitude as well and say, oh, I don't know what they're doing. Who knows? They've gone to some strange school. You know, they have some strange ways, those people. Well, they might be weird. There might be something strange. I don't know. They're from Mexico, you know. Worse than that, they're from that Sin City, Puerto Vallarta. You should see the girls on the beaches. Mm. Oh. And there's drugs everywhere. And prostitution. I forgot the prostitution. It slipped my mind. That's all horseshit. That same stuff that lives down the street from you, wherever you are, and I don't care where you live in the world. The same stuff's going on there, right? Puerto Vallarta ain't no damn different than Shanghai or Montreal or Paris or Mozambique or Timbuktu. It's all just the same thing. Okay, really, it is. It's people. They have different cultures and so forth, but they're still people. Like Pitbull's still right. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to overcome that paradox where we're finding a balance between the pleasure and the pain. It's not because they're not equal opposites. They're the same damn thing. See, pleasure and pain are just right next to each other in the brain. It's like they're joined. If you look at it this way, it's pain. If you look at it that way, it's pleasure. That's really true. Depends on how you look at it. So you can deliberately look at it in the way that it's pleasurable, or you can deliberately look at it in the way that it's painful. Are you telling me that I'm doing this to myself? Well, yeah, I am. Not only that, I'm telling you, you're doing it to yourself as an evasion from what it is that you really need to be doing for yourself or with yourself.
Like reprogramming?
With programming, with what you got to do in the world, with the expression of the other in the world for you, whatever that means, all kinds of stuff. Okay. So are we done there? Is that it? Oh, there's more. Okay, let's do more then.
However, once one has unlocked the pleasures and attenuated the pain, one must use the resulting released energies and attach them somehow to the external reality programs and the ideals, supra-self metaprograms, which one is set up. One does not dissipate all of this pleasure in hedonistic and narcissistic gratification. One of the pitfalls of LSD 25 experiences is exactly this. One has the power now to stay in an expanded state of pleasure, as it were, for several hours. This can become quite seductive and one can become quite lazy and return to this state at every opportunity. However, this is not self-analysis. This state is the ecstasy or bliss or transcendent state sought by the religious proponents of the use of LSD 25 for religious purposes.
Yeah, the same thing can be applied to ayahuasca or to blues or any of those things, guys. But here's the thing he's really trying to say. You know, once it is that you start saying, okay, you know what, I have knocked off some of my early childhood programming that doesn't affect me the way it used to, and I'm doing something about it. You can go back and well, I keep one side, you can go back and jack off some more. Or what you can do is you say, you know what, let me use this to help somebody else. Fortunately, the people say here, all you're doing is something to help somebody else. Okay, so therefore, you're regenerating your own energy by taking what you've learned and explaining it to somebody else in some way, in some fashion or the other. It generates information, which generates agreement, etc. Okay? But the idea here is simply this: is that you have to use it. You can't just take it. You just can't sit there and pat yourself on the back and be tired. That there's no gains there, none. You say that you're something that you're not. Oh, I'm important. I've got this title, or I'm taking on this. That's bullshit. You know, Howard Hughes was, at the time he was alive, was the richest man in the world. And he drove one of, I think, a 57 or maybe a 47 Chevy. He drove these absolutely indiscreet cars because he didn't want anybody to know who he was. He wasn't trying to be important. He was just trying to get there. Okay. That's the thing. The guy is the head of the NRA, the National Rifle Association in the United States. He's got to buy that $2,000 suits and so forth because he's important. No, he's not. He's going to go to jail. He's going to die in disgrace because he tried to do something that he wasn't. So don't do that to yourselves, right? Don't try to be something that you're not. Be something that you are. Don't evade what you are. What you are is fine. For instance, you started you stopped evading what you are, which you said, okay, I know I can dance. I know I can dance. I can dance. But you stopped evading that, right? So, okay, you know what? I'm home. This is what I've got to learn what I want. Fine, it's good. I'm glad. I'm glad you got there. That's a great thing. Good? Okay, so all that means you have that thing done now. You don't have to evade it any longer. Now you can use it, okay? So now you have to use it to do something for you and for other people, not just for you. Not just for you. You got to do it you got to use it for somebody else. If you do it just for you, it's an evasion. Okay? That's what you guys are doing here, right? It's like Phoenix is teaching languages. Well, she's got a gift about learning languages, so she can use that gift to help other people. That's it's work. So she doesn't evade the work. She goes and does it every day. I see her get up. She's talking to people at the time. It doesn't make any difference at midnight or 4 in the morning. She gets up and talks to people when she needs to talk to them. Okay, that's giving back to the other people. Like Lorena does something similar. She does her bars thing with people. Gives back to them. Is that the best she can do? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I doubt it. She's she's still pretty green at starting it, so she's bound to get better. Luca does the same thing with psychology. He's trying to help people, right? With the music business. That's what you're trying to do, hanging out around here. Trying to make yourself generally useful, right? Okay. Even Maria says, is Maria on?
Yeah.
Okay. Even my friend Maria, I mean, the reason why she takes on all the filth eating jobs in the world is because, well, quite frankly, she's a filth eater. And she can just eat that stuff up and spit it out and say, look, I fixed this and now it's not filthy anymore. I don't know how she does it. She does it. Okay. But she likes doing that. And she's an expert at it. She's really very good at being able to do that for people. But she gets frustrated because that's all she gets to eat. It's kind of like having to eat, I don't know, black-eyed peas all the time. Nothing wrong with eating black-eyed peas, but all the time they're boring. Okay, not that boring, but they're boring. Okay, maybe the lima beans. That's boring. Okay, what else we got here, Elise? Oh, the idea of stress. Of bliss. Isn't that someplace in Texas? Isn't Bliss somewhere in Texas? In that a town in Texas someplace? Bliss.
Next intercourse.
Oh no, that's in Pennsylvania. I know where that place is. Okay, so look, taking drugs is not a religious experience. It's a physical experience. Period. Write it down, underscore it, put it on one of those post-it notes and put it on the middle of your forehead so you read it and write it backwards. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, you say, drugs is a physical thing. It's not spiritual. I swear to God, it isn't. Write it down. Take it to the bank, etc. It's a physical thing. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. I know you just said something before, but I'm going to back here. Say it again. Say it with gusto. Okay. So
I said that with the ayahuasca, so
you took the okay. I got you took the ayahuasca part. Then what? Then what happened?
the compulsive disorder I had
Uh-huh.
just stopped after the stones. So, and for me, I feel like it's related. Like I really felt like, so I don't know how it helped me. But I really felt a change after that.
It gave you a place to see yourself differently. It gave you a different platform to look at you. Okay, that's the thing about taking LSD or ayahuasca or magic mushrooms, any of those kinds of things. Peyote. Okay, all those mescal, all those kinds of things. They give you a place to look at yourself that's not the same self that you usually look at you with. Okay, it's not from the same level. It's not from the same point in your thinking. It gives you a different perspective, and so that different perspective is like being able to see depth. The reason why we have two eyes is so we can calculate how far something is away, right? Okay, and so having a different experience like that is kind of like a binocular idea in lots of ways. It gives us a place to say, oh, I've always seen the world from this place, and oh now I've taken this helper, and it's letting me see the world from a different place. It's the same me, but I'm looking at it from a different angle now, and so that's always really helpful. But to go back and say, oh, look, I'm looking at it from a different angle over and over and over and over, maybe once or twice to be able to get to calculate the angle, oh, I can see that. But to say, oh, I have to have my ayahuasca fix. I don't think so. I mean, maybe, but I doubt that's really true. Okay. Okay. At least what else we got there?
I think these findings are very similar, if not identical, to those found in classical psychoanalysis. Once repressions and denials are released during the analysis, the access of pleasurable activity increases rapidly. The same temptations to exist to become a pleasure-seeking organism. However, this tendency too must be analyzed in a classical situation.
Okay. You know, it's funny. It's not funny. It's a natural fact. When young people go to college and they're not at mom's house and not at dad's house anymore, and they realize that they have sexual organs, they get those sexual organs together. And they say, you know, that was fun. And so they want to do it over and over and over again. Okay, so they start seeking pleasure, as it were, rather than grades. And they kind of equate pleasure and grades being the same thing after a while, but they're not. Okay, grades is one thing and pleasure is another thing, but people tend to spend time and effort into those kinds of ideas simply because, not because they're bad people, but because it's pleasurable. And start seeking the pleasure. They want to do that more and more because it was fun. Okay, that's the reason why people ride the roller coaster more than once at one time, or go to Disneyland over and over because they think it's fun. For me personally, I've been to Disneyland. I'm kind of like Crocodile Dundee. That they watch the TV when he was a kid. I Love Lucy is still on when he's adult. So yeah, you saw that before. Okay, so it's that kind of thing. You see, you know, pleasure is it's what how do you call it? What is pleasurable for you? Because whatever is pleasurable for you is what something that you'll continue to do. If you're feeling rewarded, if you're feeling if you're getting a sense of pleasure from whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to do it more than one time. You're going to continue to do that thing. This happens in a lot. Okay, here's what where you've seen this happen a lot of times. A lot of gay men will say, "I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I don't like gay people." What, Jay? Get that. You know, hey, I'm homophobic. What are you doing, bending over on me? But yeah, I don't want to look at your dick. They'll say all that stuff, right? Okay. But what they are is repressed gay people, right? And so when they come out, they come out. They come out flaming. Okay, kaboom, on fire. Yeah, like a rocket. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so. The thing is that what happens is they've dissipated the repression. They've taken the repression blanket off of their lives, right? And so all of a sudden they say, okay, you know what? I know I can dance, and they express it. Kaboom! All right. I've seen guys that did that where they said, okay, you know, this is really what I've been trying to say and do all my life. And goddamn, I'm glad I made it. And I've also seen guys that said, oh, honey, you just don't know how much fun this is. I don't mind the first guy. The second guy is a pain in the ass. Figuratively speaking, not actually speaking, but it's a stupid thing here, okay? It really is a stupid thing because, you know, you're not going to get any more pleasure out of it than what you can get. You can't change it and do all that other stuff and make it more pleasurable. It's as pleasurable as it is, and that's the end of it. Okay, so once you understand that, then that's part of your life, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is your life. For any pleasure, whether it's drinking or whether it's smoking or, you know, fucking or whatever it is that you're doing, whatever the thing is that you do, I don't care what it is. It's okay with me if you do it, but if it melts your butter or blows your skirt up, then that's what it does. I don't care. It's okay. But you don't live there. You actually live in a different. You actually live in a place where you pay attention to reality and you deal with business. You're part of society and all that other kind of stuff. But the society makes a place for you to scratch your kink, whatever your kink is, right? Which is fine. I don't care whether your kink's reading books. I don't care whether your kink's sitting at the beach and watching the whales go by, or sitting on the river watching the tide come in, or what, dock of the bay, whatever's going on. I just don't care what it is that melts your butter or what your kink is. Whatever it is, it is. And you're going to do that from time to time to rejuvenate yourself so that you feel better about you. It could be eating. It could be drinking. It could be anything. but just do it in moderation and you'll enjoy yourself. If you don't do it in moderation, you won't. If you don't do it in moderation, it's an evasion. Just write it down. That's what it is. Okay, what else we got there?
When one compares the classical analytical situation to the solitudinous self-analysis situation, one must be quite aware of what has been sacrificed in each case. The advantage of the external analysis being present, listening to one's producing the material, is that one avoids some of the pitfalls of solitude and that some of the above evasions can be pointed out rapidly before one becomes too involved in them. On the other hand, the interpretations of the analyst can be a distraction from pursuing in depth certain aspects of one's own self-analysis. Even solitudinous self-analysis using LSD-25 should be referred back to an external analyst at times when large amounts of powerfully acting unconscious programs have been unearthed. Some programs tend to be acted out after profound solitude and isolation experiences, as well as they do during classical analysis. This is one of the risks and the gambles of this technique. This is why one is cautioned to use subjects who have become sophisticated with regard to psychoanalysis itself.
Well, this is a wonderful idea, and in theory it should work, but in reality it doesn't, okay? In reality, people come float because they want to come float, okay? And they're not all ready to float, but they come float anyway. Now that's the world in which we live, okay? Now here's the thing. When somebody comes out of floating, it's guaranteed that they're going to want to talk about the things that they uncovered while they're floating, even though they don't have the language to say it, okay? Because this is the first time that they've gotten underneath all of their evasions to be able to look at it. So they're going to talk about it. Well, how are they going to talk about it with their evasions? Because that's what they see things with, right? That's the reason why they had to go look at that thing to begin with, because they had evaded it all this time. And so when they got in the tank and they floated, that thing came up to them and they said, "Hi, remember me? We went to high school together. We went to grade school together. Hell, we went to kindergarten together. Hell, I was there when you were changing your diapers. I remember you from a long time ago. How you doing? Sit down here. Let's catch up on old times." And that's what's going on with that program when it comes out, right? And so what do we do about it? Do we evade it and say, no, it doesn't exist? Well, a lot of times we try to, right? But the reality is that it's there. And so when we get out of floating, we want to talk about it. So as facilitators, we want to remember that we don't want to put our footprints on what it is that they're talking about. Okay, we don't want to add to whatever weight they're carrying. We don't want to step on them with that weight. We want to alleviate that weight. We want to say, okay, is it really that serious? Is it really that dire? Is that happening now? Did that happen then, really? Did it happen that way? Or how did you remember it? Which kid were you? How did that affect where you were, etc.? All those kinds of questions. The reason why we want to do that is so we can lessen the load. So what we're becoming is we're becoming the analyst outside of them, and we're trying our damnedest for them not to depend on us. Okay, so that they can figure it out themselves. So we can say, okay, that's a thing, and you should figure that out. Now, what happens though is that there are people, not to mention any names, but there are people that will say, but you're not analyzing me properly. You're supposed to tell me what I'm doing wrong. And if you say things like, no, I'm not, they'll get really pissed and not talk to you for like, I don't know, months, for instance. I don't know anybody that does that currently, but I've heard of people doing it before. Well, I have. I've heard, what are you laughing at? Yeah, I have. Yeah, I did. And it's a strange event that you have to watch too when people say, But you're supposed to be telling me what I'm supposed to do. No, I don't ever tell you what you're supposed to do. Well, why not? You're supposed to tell me. It can't be my fault I decided. Well, it's not fault. It's you decide. It's not a matter of fault. It's a matter of your right. The fuck you talking about my right to decide? I don't have a right to decide. You have an obligation to tell me what I have to do. No, I don't.
At this point,
Yes.
when the person is coming out of the tank,
Yeah.
is they're projecting, say, their screen, their external reality screen,
Yeah.
and you then can analyze the actual program.
No, I don't. They're not, because see, they're underneath that when they come out of the tank. What they're just saying, the fuck happened? Huh? What just happened? You know, what? They've never done that before. See, they've never been to that place. Well, they were, but it's been a long time since they were there, right?
There's a lot more stuff.
And so whatever they're talking about is what they remembered in there. Okay, their external screen is trying to talk to me over here, but it's not working very well yet. Okay, they're saying stupid things like, John, I really like your dragons. I know I couldn't sleep. The water was on one side. I kept sliding into the wall. There were waves, and I couldn't sleep because of the waves, man. Yeah, there's waves down that tank, huh? All right. Bring your surfboard, okay?
It's the one that's angled, I guess.
Yeah, well, the angle one's fun too. But it's still in that one tank that does it, okay? The rest of them won't do it. I've checked, they won't do it. But anyway, people come out talking about crazy shit like that. That's not what they're talking about, okay? That's how they can talk about it. It's not what they can talk about. It's how they can talk about it. So you got to listen to what they're saying.
Because those are the limits of what they're using that is limiting how they can see. It is in those specific, say, the work program on an app is it can only use whatever's in there or like whatever's being used at that time.
Okay, say that part again.
So like say like the colors you're describing. The limits of all the programs is by what colors they can actually use.
Right.
And they are trying to describe something that needs more colors, but they don't have.
That's exactly the problem, okay? It's a larger abstraction than what they have space for, okay? And so here's the solution for the larger abstraction they don't have space for, right? Because it's the space problem they can't use, that they don't have it, is that you have to take away some of the places that they're using things wrong in error. We call that not doing. Remember from the class, that not doing gives you natural mind function, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we try to get them to break their habits of how they describe things, like dichotomies. Is that really wrong?
No.
Is that really bad?
No.
Is that really good? Tampoco. Okay, no, it isn't. And so what you're looking at is you're looking at all those things and saying, okay, is it really that thing? Could we change the motivational charge on that? Could we make it a positive rather than a negative? Could we make it a little more negative than so damn positive about that? Just a little more, a touch. Those are the things we're trying to do to get to a place where it's more closely resembles reality somehow or the other, or defined reality. Once they can define the reality, I'm done. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, I just don't, because of this very thing. Because what happens then is they end up talking like I am. For the longest kind of time, everybody up in the States, they were when they got talking to each other, this was the accusation. So what are you, a little John? I never. I don't know who would have said such a thing, but I've heard that said. It's a rumor, okay? Chismes, that's what it is. Okay. Because they wanted to, they knew that they're trying to use what I said or how I thought for their thinking, right? And so they're trying to say, okay, my analysis said so, therefore I have to be. I have to be almost nasty to them to get them to stop that. I have to say, no, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you blaming me for it? It's a process, okay? It's not night to the morning. You can't wiggle your nose to get past it. I've tried. I've tried wiggling my ass. I've tried wiggling my tail feathers. I've tried making these kinds of things. I've tried to do it like this. I've tried woo, none of that shit. Abracadabra, none of it works. Okay, none of it. I've tried pushing on them on different points. That doesn't work either. The only thing that happens is they say, ow! Things like that. That's it.
That's like an evasion from actually understanding.
Yeah, that's what it is, an evasion for actually understanding anything at all. Okay, I'd rather use your thinking than mine. I don't want to use my thinking because it's flawed, and I'm fixing it. I'm having such a wonderful time. Please tell me what to do.
And use natural mind function with that.
Yep, can't do that one. I wish I could. But you told me to do that. Sorry, honey, I never told you to do a damn thing. You can blame me for a lot of stuff, but you can't blame me for telling you what to do. Because you did that your own damn self. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I wasn't even here. I was in Mexico and you were up here in the States, 2,500 miles away. Now, I don't, no, I didn't. No matter what she said, I didn't do it. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Grade 1's classical psychoanalysis, one begins to modify one's computer and the self-programmer to include many aspects of the methods of computation that one's analyst uses. One accumulates, as it were, a meta-program of self-analysis, which incorporates a good deal of what one's analyst has to offer with regard to one's own computer. In classical psychoanalytical terms, one tends to incorporate many aspects of one's analyst. Once one has a satisfactorily functioning internal analyst, namely an analytical metaprogram for the self-metaprogram, one can be launched on one's own and no longer needs the external analyst to the same degree that one did earlier. One's analyst has proceeded from the analyst outside to the analyst inside.
Okay. It'd be hard for you, for anybody to, if you were in that kind of situation, like even here in the tank office, we're talking about programming, you have to borrow somebody else's thinking for a while. Huh? You have to borrow. Yeah, you have to, Presta. Okay. You have to borrow somebody else's thinking for a little while because you're looking at yours and you say, okay, mine doesn't do the same thing that other person's does. Okay. For me, I call those people my benefactors. Okay. Because I learned things from them that I didn't learn from anybody else because they thought that way. Okay. Not a good thing or bad thing, it's just that way. So I incorporated a lot of what they talk about into my thinking, right? But I didn't think with it the same way that they did. I couldn't because I had to think of it the way I did, okay? But I had to borrow their thinking in order to get to where I could think about it myself. Do you understand that concept, everybody? Okay. No matter who you are, if you're learning something, I don't care if you're learning to paint, if you're learning to play the guitar, if you're learning to play piano, if you're learning to play the French horn, okay? The harmonica, it doesn't make any difference what you're doing. If you're learning to dig a ditch, if you're learning to drive a car, whoever you learn from, you're going to use their metaprogramming for a period of time, their style, their thinking. You're going to use that for a period of time because that's how you learn how to do it. You borrow theirs. You say, okay, I'm going to be disciplined within how they think so I can figure out how I fit within that. I have to fit there because they're thinking about it, so I have to fit in that somehow or the other. But how do I fit? Well, how you fit is that you try it on yourself. You try to do those things, and you say, okay, I can do that, but I can't do it that way. I can do it different way. Okay, it's like people. I don't know. You see it all the time in different kinds of gaming and so forth. There are some people who can make the other guy think about what that they're going to do something, and they don't. They do anything. They do something else instead, right? And it looks like, well, one of them. Okay, but because this guy committed to doing that one, I did the other one. If he had committed to the other one, I'd done this one. And that happens at a really rapid rate. Well, the only way that you can learn how to do that is to take on that guy's discipline and try to repeat what he's doing so that you can figure out how he did it. You see it with skateboarders, for instance, right? Okay, you see little kids being able to jump up and flip that skateboard over and jump over something, flip over something, and land on the skateboard and keep on skating, right? And you see them jump and jump and jump and fall and jump and fall and jump and fall so they can do it right. Well, what they're doing is they're borrowing from somebody else's, from another analyst, okay? There's somebody older than them saying, okay, you gotta kick that board over right there. You gotta kick it over like this, and then you catch it. And so they show them how to do it over and over again, so that the kid learns how to do it that way. A kid on a BM on those bikes and so forth. How do they learn to jump? They watch another kid jump. That's how they learn how to jump. How they learn how to do a flip? They watch another kid do 2 flips. They say, oh, fuck that, I do 3. That's how they do it. Okay, that's how you learn, because you watch somebody else doing it. That's how somebody learns how to jump higher or run faster, because you saw somebody do that before, and you learned how to do it from them, and you made it better. Okay, you do this. The same thing's true with thought. Okay, so when you're analyzing your thought, your and so forth, you borrow it from somebody else for a while until you borrow parts of it. You got to borrow it though, because it's not yours. You're trying to develop yours. So you borrow your analysts, as he says. You borrow their thinking for a while. You use it until you say, okay, you know what? Thank you very much, but I've got my own analyst now. It's a lot of it's got to do with what I learned from you, but I got to think about it over here this other way. Oh, that's wonderful. Good. That was the deal. You're going to think about it and express it your way. But you had to start with this part over here so that you knew how to go to where you do it, because you got to do it better than me, dude. Okay, I don't care what it is that you learn how to do, whether it's driving or anything else. That's what you're going to do with it. You're going to try to be better than the person that you learned from. Okay, at least as well as. In every endeavor, we do that. Okay.
This is why it's a good point of saying, like, when someone makes a mistake, it's not a good or bad thing. It's more like, can you learn from your mistake instead of ostracizing or afraid of being like
Not really. You're close, but I think you're missing the essence of the idea. I think if you make a mistake, what you need to do is to say, okay, how do I not make this mistake again?
Yes.
If it was a mistake, I don't want to repeat it.
But if you see somebody else do the mistake,
Well, you know, if you see somebody else do the mistake, you have an option. You can say, hey, look, you know, I used to make that mistake, and what I did is I'd think about it this way. And the other thing is just to keep your mouth shut and tell them to go ahead and keep doing it. Wow. Huh? Those are the options. Da Vinci said this best, I think. He who does not oppose evil commands it to be done. So you actually have to say, look, this thing that you're doing, I did that thing. It was done when I did it. It's done when you do it. Okay. In other words, you got to say, okay, that I'm gonna resist you here. You know why you do that? It's to protect you. They might not like me. I know. Isn't that great? Gabi and Gus came by the other day. And Gus was saying, well, John, he says, you know, you have a lot of turnover. I said, I know. I said, I have that in clientele too. I said, let me tell you a story. I said, one night there was a lady came over here, and she had a pass to come float, but she got it from the radio station. We didn't give it to the radio station to give it to anybody. We gave it to the radio station for the disc jockeys to come float, so they could make ads for us. Okay. And this lady came over. She didn't work for the radio station or anything else. She came and she floated, came out, sat on the couch over there, and I said, so are you guys going to put the $1,500 you owe me on credit card or pay cash? And they said, what? We have a pass. I said, yeah, but it's not legal. We didn't give that to you. I don't know who you are. And I pushed on it and I said, well, you guys owe me money. You got 1,500 pesos, please. I knew they didn't have the 1,500 pesos. They lived in Infonavit over there. So I knew that, but I pushed on it anyway until the lady got really hot and bothered and just stomped out all mad and said, well, I'll never be back. And I was so damn relieved. That's not my client. My client's not going to try to rob me with a pass. My client's going to pay me for and say, thank you for having the service. You didn't charge me enough. That's my client. I don't want the other one. I'm not interested in, that's not a client. That's a pain in the ass. That's a cost. Okay. You guys got to think about that for a moment. Okay. Why is it you're trying to get everybody in the world to like you? Are you evading something with that? Are you evading that there are people that don't like you? Does it make a difference to you that somebody doesn't like you? Will it change what you do? Will anybody notice 100 years from now? So why are you worried about it? Are you evading who you are by doing that? Oh, I'm really loved by everyone. No, you're not. There's a lot of people that just can't stand your silly ass. So what? It's okay. There are also a whole lot of people that like you just how you are. I'm so glad that you are who you are because you enrich me. But there's another group of people that aren't going to do that. And you can't get those people to like you. They don't like anybody. They don't even like themselves. Why would they like you? They're a lot more important to them than you are.
They don't even notice. They don't even notice you're mad because.
No, they don't care. How could they tell, right? They're too busy thinking about themselves, right? They're evading whatever's going on anyway. Okay. I mean, and again, it's just too chaotic for them at that moment. It's too seductive for them at that moment. Okay, check. Okay, I'm good. No, I'm not. I don't need to force this at all. I'm good. But no, please don't come back. You know, if you really want to float and you have the money, be sure. But if you can't afford to pay for it, please don't do that. You don't go to the grocery store and get groceries out off the shelf and say you have a pass. That isn't going to work. That you're being a thief. See, go ahead.
But sometimes work like maybe I don't want to charge something because I want to please somebody.
Yeah, that's an evasion.
That's an evasion.
Yeah, that's an evasion because you don't have any value. What you're doing isn't worth that. Oh my, really? What you're doing isn't worth anything?
Yeah, of course.
I don't
But
think
I
so.
have to believe that.
You have to believe what? That it's worth something?
That I value it.
Well, one would hope that you would do that, but if you're not charging for it, if you're not asking for somebody to pay for it, you're not giving any value to it. You're not
giving that value.
Yeah, you're not realizing that value. That's what I said earlier. The hardest thing I have to do, the hardest part of my job is to convince people that they actually have value. That they actually have the right to say, I can charge this thing because I deserve it. This is what I'm worth. I know what I'm worth. My friend, I had a friend one time. He's gone now, but his name was Andy. And Andy used to tell the story about his dad, and his dad was an upholsterer. And so people would come by and apparently Andy's dad moved all the time, but he always did upholstering. Okay, so I mean that's just what the family did. But people come by and they'd say to Andy's dad, they say, okay, but you know I can get this guy down the street to do this for a lot less than what you're charging me. And Andy's dad would say, well, he knows what his work is worth. So when I see people that are having trouble charging for stuff, I have to say, well, I guess they know what their work is worth. If they didn't think that, they would charge for it. See, I can't evade that, Luca. I just can't. I have to face that really. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just I have to face it. I have to say, okay, Luca's struggling with his worth still. He'll get over it. He'll see it. But right now, that's too chaotic for him. It's too seductive for him. Maybe in the morning, he'll see it differently. I can keep my fingers crossed and well, I can't stand on my head and my nose and let my nose run because then I'd be built upside down, but I can do a lot of that stuff for you. I cross my fingers anyway, hope for you, and that kind of thing. Well, not just worth a damn, but I can do it.
I recently started doing that when I'm giving advice about computers for family and friends. Because a lot of times they want to take the advice. And I was like, all right, now I'm going to charge you guys 20 or something, whatever amount of money I thought it was worth it at the time. The people who did pay me, they took my advice. The people who didn't pay me, they weren't going to listen anyways.
Exactly. So if somebody comes to go to float and they're going to pay for it or doesn't want to pay for it, what the fuck are they here for? To look at the house? Or are they casing the place to see what they can steal? What the hell? If they were a decent thief, they'd pay for it so they know at least, but no, they're not. Okay, that happens. Okay, what else we got there, kid?
An analogous situation can be seen in the profound isolation in LSD 2-5 analysis. The foregoing descriptions of the external screens and external projection methods emphasize the relationship between the computer and the external reality. It also emphasized that the computer was using certain parts of itself for transformations and projections of data from memory into systems simulated by energies coming from the external world. It was pointed out that such projections were easier to do than when these systems were not excited by energies coming from the outside world. The major reason for failure to be able to project on a blank screen or to use the apparatus unexcited by energies coming from the outside world is too great fear of what lies underneath below the levels of awareness in a solitudinous situation. Once a large number of these fears has been analyzed and shown to be particularly childlike and childish, one can proceed to the next stage of LSD 25 in isolation combined for analysis.
Well, I mean, Lily was in control with LSD. He really was. Of course, he was powerful. He was a clinical leader, so he should be. Clinical leader was a guru of action. But here's the thing for you guys to consider here. If you can't project a neutral idea about a person, or you can't project a neutral idea about people who are important in your life, whether it's a relationship, a current relationship, or a past relationship, the experience is always going to be current and past. Okay, it's always going to be the current or past that we're going to be dealing with. Okay, but here's the problem: the reason why that you fly off the handle at your partner, or the reason why that you get mad because somebody said something at the grocery store, or the reason why your feelings got hurted because of something of that nature, was because of the fear of what lies underneath that. There are a lot of people who are absolutely scared to death that what goes on for them in their subconscious is completely out of their control. And they're right. Because it's not them that's in control there. that them that's trying to control is probably one of several entities. It's part of a schizophrenic conjunto, let's say, okay, or group. Commission, let's call it that. And it's like, look, it works fine. If it didn't work, you wouldn't be here, because you can't pay attention to all the things that actually get you through to the point of survival consciously. You've had any number of experiences in your life where if the subconscious didn't jump up and say, consciousness, sit your butt down and let me take over here for the next 35 seconds. And you did something and then you survived, okay? That's happened to me a number of times in my life. I think it happens to everybody at some time or the other, that you get right out to the edge of something and say, and consciousness comes along and says, I'm out of this. And subconscious says, you bet your ass you're out of this. You get, sit. I don't want to hear from you. And conscious goes and sits down, and subconscious takes over and just does the thing. And you come back and conscious, ain't that wonderful? And subconscious says, yeah. But that happens to us, okay? And the reason why it happens to us is because we don't pay attention to what's underneath that for us. So when we have things that are going on all around us, you know, the bombs exploding and the people screaming and the dogs barking and the chickens crowing and the guinea fowl making that awful sound that they make and all, you know, all that turkeys gobbling and, you know, deer butting heads and all that stuff that goes on and stuff, cows mooing and lowing in the distance and babies screaming and kids laughing and oh my God, it just goes on and on. Buses hitting the same manhole cover all the time. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Those are things that we all say, oh, that's awful, right? Those are our awful feelings, our awful lives. But the thing is that the other than conscious part of our life is taking care of those things all of the time. It's calculating them. It's seeing how far away they are. It's kind of like the part of your phone that pays attention to what time it is, or let you know that you have you have mail. There's a part of your phone that does that. Pays attention. It's a part of your mind that does the same thing. There's a part of your mind that actually says to you, you have mail. And it says it just like it does on AOL, okay? Like Harry Met Sally. It's the same thing, okay? You have mail, okay? It's like that, okay? Here's the thing about it, though, guys, is that we discount that. We pretend like it's not there. We say, oh no, that's not who I am. I'm afraid of what's there. What for? It's there, it's working, it's running all of the time. Why would you be afraid of it? It's taking care of your ass. Why not take advantage of it? Why not say, oh, hey, come on over here, sit down. What do you know that I can't figure out consciously? You'd be surprised what all it could tell you. You'd be surprised what all more you could do. You'd be surprised about how much more you're worth. Which is exactly the problem why I have such a hell of a time convincing people of their value, because they're too busy evading to find that out. I just have to stop their entire world to get them to see it. And sometimes I'm just not big enough to do that. Worlds are big, you know. You know, as you just reach out and try to stop one with your finger like that, it's hard. My fingers used to be a lot longer. Now they're all broken and they're because I've tried to stop too many worlds. Doesn't work. Can't do it. Tried banging into my chest and so forth. I dislocated my shoulder. It's awful. None of that works. You know what works? Is for the person I'm talking to stop and say, okay, you know what? I have value because I breathe, because I was born, because I exist, because I've learned what I've learned in my life. And I'm the only one who's ever lived my life. So I have a unique and valuable life to share with everybody. It has value. See, unless you can actually say that with a straight face and really mean it about you yourself, you're probably evading that value. In fact, I'd say straight up that you are. But that would be judgmental, and so I don't dare say that. I'll just say that you probably are evading it. Now, we've talked about a lot of things tonight about about evasions. But the worst one of all is this evasion of your own appropriate value. You have value, you yourself. Why evade that? Why argue with people about it? Why, when people are trying to say, you know, here's your value, this is where it is, why on earth would you say, no, you can't make me have value, I won't let you? And I've watched people do that. Some people. I'm not old enough to figure it out. I'm too old to figure it out. I'm not big enough to figure it out. I'm too big to figure it out. I don't know anything about business, but I'll run my business the way I damn well please, thank you. Does that have value? I don't really know, and I don't really care, motherfucker. I've never heard those words in my ear. I've seen tracks of those words around though. Okay, I've never seen it. I've never heard it. It's like kind of like Bigfoot. I've never seen it, but I've heard him howl out in the woods. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So that's why I'm telling you. I'm sticking to it. Okay. Are you with, guys? Okay. How about you guys on the Zoom call? Everybody good? That's good. Well, I'll tell you what then. How about we talk to you guys next week when we'll be talking about something else. What are we going to talk about next week? Or
General purpose.
Huh?
General purpose.
Oh, yes. Next week we're going to talk about being a general purpose computer. That's fun. Okay, so because everybody is a general purpose computer, so I think that's going to be even more fun. So anyway, guys, we'll see you next week with all you general purpose computers that don't evade anymore. That's wonderful. That's great. I'm glad we got to have this little fireside chat, even though it's not fireside, if it's just the fan. We're still glad that you guys all showed up. Okay, have a good evening, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
It's nice to hear from you, and it's nice to see Hugh growing.
Good night,
course.
John.
Yes, nice to
Good
see
night,
you.
everybody. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
John,
You have to answer over there. Yes.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
When you were talking about when you had so much stuff that you were inundating your brain with and processing, and you had to take a break, can
Yeah.
you just elaborate a little bit more about that? I wasn't quite getting the concept, and I think that's pertinent to me, so I wanted to ask for clarification.
Well, if you spend 3 years in a tank office and float 20,000 people, and you put about 20,000 hours of float time in for yourself, you'll understand why I couldn't hold on to reality.
And is
That's
it
what
just because you were constantly trying to process and analyze, but you weren't giving yourself time to integrate? Or
No. It's because I was a damn fool. I agreed with every silly fuck that walked in the door and said, "Hey, John, you know what? I believe this thing." And I said, "Oh, well, let me be fair. Is that your opinion? Oh, well, I'll agree to disagree with you, but I think you've got reason," because I was being fair and nice and crazy as a fucking loon. Cost me big time, sweetie. It did. That's where that came from. I was too much of a damn fool. I agreed with every single body about their feelings were so important, and my feelings had to be aligned with their feelings, and I can't do that. Even if I wanted to, I can't do it. It's not possible for me to align my feelings with yours. I don't have your experiences.
right?
But there I was, damn fool, right up to the just a number one damn fool. Oh, honey, you got feelings? Me too. We agree on them feelings, don't we? No, we didn't agree on those feelings. I had no damn idea what the feelings were. That person didn't have any idea what the fuck my feelings were. You know, Garrett for sure comes in. I would really like to see extraterrestrials, so I want to go visit John Lilly, and learn about dolphins because they're extraterrestrials. And there I was. Of course you can. What a wonderful idea. No, it wasn't. It was stupid. Hey, out. 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 Thank you. So does that help answer the question, kid?
I think so, yeah. I mean, so I guess on a broader sense, are you saying in part what I think you're saying, but I could be wrong, is that you were maybe just overextending or being
No,
disingenuous?
no. I was a damn fool. I wasn't overextending or nothing else. I was a stupid shit. Just like you are, and just like everybody else here is, because we all refuse to think. I did. I could recite the stuff when I was in the tank office. The self-meta programmer works directly only on the meta programs. I don't treat it that. Is that true? I treat it as though what's actually true is that's not true at all. That's how I actually treat it. I treat like I'm in control consciously, and so I'm going to consciously change my feelings, which I can't happen. But I'm going to consciously change my feelings, attune them to your feelings so that you feel good. What a stupid shit I'm being. Now, that's what happened. It wasn't overextending. It wasn't any of that flowery crap that people like to put on it. No, I was being a dumb fuck. That's the long and the short of it anyway. I just simply wasn't paying attention to how my own brain worked. I was too stupid to know. Hey, out.
Okay, thank you for explaining.
No, listen, it's just, people, I tend to call it like it is, okay? Because that's how I experienced it really. But at the time, oh my God, there was such drama. And I had such wonderful ways of describing the pain and agony and crap that I was generating for myself, all right? I mean, I was disgusting. But I had all my reasons and all my evasions, and I didn't want to look at it. And oh, poor me! I had to live alone by myself for a period of time because I couldn't stand people around me. I was too sensitive. It wasn't true at all. I needed to stop and say, "What the hell were you doing, Worthington? Where did you have your head, dude?" That's what actually happened, because I didn't pay attention to how I was thinking. I didn't pay attention to how my particular brain was wired. And so when I finally understood how my particular brain was wired, I said, I don't think I'm going to go back to that place. That was an ugly, terrible, awful, stupid place. I don't need to do that again. So the next time I was in a tank office, I said, when somebody came out, I said, hey, why are you feeling that way? Where did that start? What happened to you from there? I started asking all those questions about not only in the tank office, but with everybody around me. And somebody say, well, I don't believe in that shit. I said, what kind of shit do you believe in? I'm good with that. You don't believe in that shit, but you got a particular type of shit, that brown ones, big ones, hot ones, steamy ones. What kind of shit do you literally like? I don't care. If it's your kink, it's whatever melts your butter, as it were. But I had to protect myself, kid. I think everybody does, because I think that if we don't do that, if we don't stand on our own stop and say, look, I can't agree, or I have to agree with that thing, then we don't know where we are. We're lost. We're a ship without a rudder. We're just floating about in the tide. We have no direction. I mean, that's how I was. And I went through life that way. I think that's a condition of youth to a certain extent, because that's how we find our way. So we make mistakes and we fix it from there. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that I had to do that. The thing is that I'm such a glutton for punishment. I had to go beat myself up for three damn years and take 5 years to get over it. Hey, I can handle it. I'm a big boy. I can take it. Dish it out. I can take it. What a dumb fuck, huh? I mean, really. Oh, I'm a macho man. What's this? No macho man, nothing. I was a dumb fuck, period. Okay? And so it really wasn't a matter that I could say it like this. I could say I was overloaded. I could say I was in free fall. I could say it in lots of different ways. But the reality is I just simply did not take care of me. That's the reality.
Gotcha.
Okay. I wasn't nice to me. Okay. So anyway, have a
Okay,
nice
thank you.
evening, everybody. And we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Good night now.
Good night.
Good night.